Do you see Segpay's role as sort of a mentor to the merchants?
I do. I think that merchants, new and existing, will come to us because we have the tool sets that they need to help them in that journey that they're looking to be in. That obviously that is being successful.
You're watching the Segpay News Network. Today, we're talking to Marco Escobar, Vice President of Operations at Segpay. Marco, thank you for taking time out of your busy day to talk with us. We really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
So, Marco, Segpay's slogan is all the way to paid. Tell us what part you play in that process at Segpay.
Okay, well, a little bit of everything, starting from the product management perspective. So from the time an idea is brought up from a merchant or from, say, from Kathy to help facilitate something for a merchant, it comes through my area of product management, where our product team develops that into product and then puts it through the development cycle. And then from the infrastructure part, obviously making sure that we have what we need to support those ideas.
So it sounds like it's a two-way conversation with our merchants of what products they might need. Can you give us an example of a product that a merchant might have requested that SegPay said, hey, we can do that?
Sure. Thinking back, probably PayPal is one of those bigger items that merchants were looking for us to have. We know we focused on that, and now we're one of PayPal's preferred partners, and merchants come to us for that.
It's amazing. And now we're serving merchants all over the world. So you're having to deal with different technologies, different currencies. Is that a challenge for you and your team?
Slightly. We have base currencies that we mainly focus on, and of course, we do support all other major currencies across the globe. So we do what we can to facilitate those payments.
Marco, how long does it take with a solution like a PayPal, what's the timeline to get it launched to the merchants typically?
It's hard to say because not everything is cookie cutter, right? Our processing engine is so involved. Changes like that touch a lot of different moving parts. And not only from a software development perspective, but also from an infrastructure perspective, we have to make sure that we have those hardware resources in place, also ensuring that we have the proper regulatory requirements met to put that new feature or product in place. So it could take, a couple of weeks into a couple of months, depending on the size of the scope.
Gotcha. Talking about regulation, for people who don't understand the high risk industry, it seems there are a lot more hoops for a merchant to go through to process transactions. Why is a merchant in a high risk category more challenging than a regular online merchant?
I think it's because of the reputational risk that banks and other payment processors have to take on when partnering with a high risk merchant. Specifically, SegPay partners with other banks. We try to find other acquirers to help us with our high risk merchants. Obviously, in the adult space, it's very hard. I think the adult industry is scrutinized a lot more than other verticals.
Let's talk about the different things that are happening from a technology standpoint in the world today. There are a number of issues like age verification. It seems that that's happening all over the world, and now some states are even requiring age verification to get on social media like Facebook and Instagram even. Is this something that's just going to be here to stay?
Yes, I do think that age verification is something that is here to stay. I think it's globally driven because of Europe and the age verification requirements they're putting in place there. We're seeing that in a couple of states here in the United States. I don't think it's going anywhere. I just think it's going to make it harder for merchants to comply, and we'll have to comply as we have, along those lines.
We've seen some merchants just refuse to do business in those countries and those states, but that seems short-sighted to me that you need to find a way to comply without giving away important information, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think that merchants that kind of don't process in those, let's call them states or countries that require age verification, they're leaving money on the table rather than just addressing the issues at hand, partnering up with providers like us that could help them navigate through that.
And there are two parts to this, right, Marco? There's age verification, which could be a driver's license or a passport or something like that. And then there's age estimation. Can you tell us what age estimation is?
So age estimation is basically an algorithm of some sort that is using the person's name and maybe looking through some billing records and kind of guesstimating what that individual's age could be. It could be a range of 18 to 25 or younger, but we know nowadays that at least here in the United States, you know, kids could be issued credit cards, through their parents. But in some countries, they're not allowed. They have to be 18 and over. So the systems use that to kind of guesstimate what that person's age is.
We were just having fun the other day and testing it, and it missed my age by 8 years to the good side. That's nice, right?
Yeah,
Um, but that could be a problem if you're talking like a 21-year-old or a 22-year-old person, right? If it's that far off, then they could be accessing content they shouldn't be accessing.
absolutely. We need to remind ourselves that technology isn't perfect. So there is that possibility that, as you said, a 21-year-old would be age estimated 8 years younger and shouldn't be in that area that they're in. So I agree. But again, age technology is not perfect.
It's not perfect, but we are at Segpay going to be testing a couple of age verification things, age estimation tools, possibly. Do you see Segpay's role as sort of a mentor to the merchants?
I do. I think that merchants, new and existing, will come to us because we have the tool sets that they need to help them in that journey that they're looking to be in, that obviously that is being successful. Newer merchants that don't necessarily have the resources, again, could lean on providers like us that have those tools.
So it's almost like Segpay's vetting the tools and technologies, right, to make sure they work, and then offer it to the merchants as a possible solution.
Absolutely. I mean, we've been around now 20 years, so we have some experience in the space, have evolved in the technology, and continue to look forward from a technological front.
Another issue, of course, is fraud mitigation, detection. It seems that we hear every day about a data breach. Is this something that keeps you up at night, worried about these type things?
As SegPay continues to gain traction globally, it's just a bigger X on our backs. And yes, it is something that we're constantly thinking about. But we do partner with providers that keep us abreast of new cyber threats and how to mitigate them. So I'm pretty confident in what we have in the last several years put in place to help mitigate those things.
Has it gotten really worse, Marco, in the last 4 to 5 years? It seems like it. We've worked with SegPay since 2011. It seems like it's worse than ever.
I would tend to agree, especially with AI coming into play. AI will have good and bad things. Obviously, good because it would help mitigate threats, but then also it'll make those threats a lot smarter.
Now, if you're a merchant, what are one or two things you can do to protect yourself and your business from fraud?
Um, I would suggest being proactive versus reactive. Lean on payment providers like us to give you the tools that you need. Listen to the guidance that we give you to be able to ensure that you're not hit with high chargebacks or high dispute rates of that nature.
Speaking of AI, is it changing SegPay's businesses too today?
It is, and I think it will continue to do it, not just at SegPay, but I think across the globe. We've established an AI committee where we meet and we talk about possible solutions and implementations within SegPay. But we're still very early on in those in stages in that. Right now, we're just talking. We've established an AI use case policy where our team members understand, the obvious risks of using AI and putting private information out there on the internet.
That's exactly it. It's a great brainstormer. It's a great strategic planner. It is not, it makes a lot of mistakes. So the human guidance is critical in this whole process. I truly believe that. Now, AI is causing problems on another front in that it's the deep fake, creating people that aren't real using people's images. How do you guard against that? What's the industry doing?
Yeah, that's an interesting topic. I do know that there are obvious counter AI solutions that can check differences between images. I think the technology is still evolving. I think that the industry, not just the industry that we cater to, but in general, they will have to find solutions that could address deep fakes.
Yep, because that's a problem. Because sites, especially adult sites, have to have policies. If someone complains and says, "I didn't give consent," there has to be a method to take that content down, right? If there's a complaint.
Absolutely. If someone calls in and requests certain information to be taken down, we have to comply.
Let's talk about currencies and I know that Segpay has a crypto solution. Are we seeing more adoption of crypto around the world or not?
Interestingly enough, we have specifically in Latin America, we've noticed an uptick in crypto usage. We do see it also in some areas of Europe, but as you well know, credit card, is really the key driver, obviously followed by PayPal or wallet solutions.
I was talking to an industry expert the other day who's worried, though, that we're giving our digital permission to governments and so forth. And if someday they don't like us or they don't like what we say, they can shut our banking down. So they're looking at decentralized currencies and tokens. How do you feel about that? Do you think that's going to be more widely adopted?
I think it's too soon to say, but I do think that that would be very hard for them to pull that off. Having specific coins or stable coins, I think as they're called, uh, to hold the presses there. Yeah, I don't see that happening.
So you don't think they could necessarily shut us down if they don't like our opinions or so forth?
I think technically speaking, anything is possible. It's just a matter of how would the public view that, right?
Exactly. So, Marco, what do you see coming in the next 3 to 4 years? I know you're always on the lookout for what's coming. What can high risk merchants expect to happen from a technology standpoint over the next 5 years?
I think AI is going to be the biggest driver across all industries. I think that if you're not already looking at AI and how you can utilize it in your day to day, you're going to be left behind in the next, I would say, 5 years.
So, what would you recommend to people who are afraid of AI or trying to get a handle on it?
I would say just dive in. Just open up ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever local AI solution you have in front of you and just start asking it questions and see what it can do for you. You'd be surprised on what it can do for you by providing it very limited information. And again, not providing it any sensitive information, but it's a very useful tool. Again, it's a partner that will help us be a little bit more advanced, more productive, get things done a lot faster.
And it's about the prompts. It's about teaching the model what you're trying to work on. Once I started prompting the AI, it was cranking out great information.
Absolutely. The analytics that AI brings to the table with the data that you provided is very beneficial. As I said before, I think of it as a thought partner. I don't think there's nothing to be afraid of with AI. It will still need us to guide it in what it is that the task is for, right?
Absolutely. So, Marco, talk to us about where do you see SegPay now, 2 years, 4 years, 5 years from now?
Wow. I think Segpay will continue to expand globally into other regions. The success of Segpay will continue to be driven by the trust that bigger merchants bring to the table. Yeah, I see us continuing to grow.
Awesome. Marco Escobar, Vice President of Operations at SegPay, thank you so much for your time and your insight. It was great talking to you.
Thank you, Mark.